Welcome back, and now let's get our teeth into the real thing. Hungary is the latest country that has promised to help Nigeria to end the activities of Boko Haram. Of course, the United States and France have thrown in their 2 bits, and they have been here helping us for some time. The commander of the United States Africa Command visited the presidential villa and promised that the U.S. government will support with improved training, equipment, logistics, and welfare. Yet, we hear of bombings every single day. We heard of one only yesterday.
2, exactly.
2?
Yeah.
2 bombs yesterday, and people have died yet again. So where are we in this war? Can we meet the December deadline? That is the question we're going to discuss this morning, and we have 3 security experts with us in the studio. Captain Umar Aliyu is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Pastor Laddie Thompson is here. Good morning.
Pleasure is mine.
As well as Ona Ekomo. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
And thank you all very much for joining us this morning. Another bomb blasts yesterday. What are your thoughts about this war, Ona? Are we making progress? Are we likely to meet this deadline?
Well, I think we are making progress. The military continues to recapture objectives from the terrorists. But you cannot really rule out these lone wolf attacks that we're seeing. The single, in fact, there could be wolf pack also. There could be more than one suicide bomber attacking, soft targets, like yesterday's double mosque attack in Maiduguri and the Polo area, Jidari Polo area, and then in Jambutu, a brand new mosque too in Yola. So you cannot rule out those attacks because they will continue to happen because we've not defended against those. We're still trying, we're working on the classic military operation of trying to recapture territory that is in the hands of the enemy. Mm-hmm. But now you have soft targets spread from, I don't know, from Sokoto
nationwide
to
Lagos.
Sokoto to Calabar to Lagos, all over. And the terrorists, they have their pick of the cherry. They can choose where they're going to attack. Like you just mentioned a few minutes ago, there was a plot here to bomb some targets here in Lagos. And thank God the authorities were not asleep. They were able to arrest the plotters. Mm-hmm. So I think this is just the nature of terrorism. That's really what it is. It's the nature of terrorism. You can defend, or you can attack, or you can capture whatever where you know they are. But now, when they go into the guerrilla structure, they start attacking wherever. Like you just had the attacks in Abuja, in Kujanyaya. Mm-hmm. You've had several attacks in Kano. You've had in Gombe, in Yobe, everywhere. So, I mean, really, it takes a different security architecture to address that. Now, the deadline issue. The deadline is a good one. It's a work in progress. And I think the Chief of Defense Staff recently just modified the language. He said it's a timeline, it's not a deadline. So,
okay, it's a timeline, not a deadline.
Yeah.
Captain Aliyu, he said we are making progress. So what is the speed of this progress?
Yeah, when you look, when you look at progress, the word, compared to what was let's say June 3rd, you find out that a lot of grounds have been covered. Now, where the issues come up is when we weigh progress against expectations. Expectations are really very high from the populace, the final victims. The military is making progress, but then I have always been of this opinion that the solution scope for the problem we have is not entirely military. In fact, it's intellectually heavy, and we're not tending to that yet. The mindsets, the skill sets that can actually feed what should solve the problem is not entirely a gun boot approach. It's not entirely about holding ground and taking all that belongs to us territorially. There are other areas that are saliently silent, which we are not looking at.
Like,
let me give you the issue of intelligence gathering. Intelligence gathering is also kind of misconstrued to mean some Secret Service goons playing some kind of James Bond scenario out and getting in. No. Intelligence gathering is about speaking to those in the know. And when they give you their own perceptions of their skill set areas as it involves terrorism, then you can sit down and glean off intelligence from there. Let me give you an example. There are people who have studied this issue of terrorism as far back as pre-1999. They have a mother load of information from which you can glean off a lot from. And when you glean off what they have told you professionally, you can now begin to apply it within the cycle of your own battle space. I spoke to a colleague from the Desert Research Institute, for example, and she told me a lot of things that sounded very relevant to even the order of battle and its designation for the soldier. And she's not a soldier. We spoke about dust maps. We spoke about soil texture and topography and how it can route your weapons. Heavy weapons will sink in sand. Dust can clog the best machines. A dust map can be exploited by desert nomads, and you will probably not see them until they are sitting on you. You need early warning systems and visibility. All these things are not necessarily military. They are purely academic and intellectual. So we need to lean to that side. And good news is the best armies on earth are actually propped up by their civil populace. So we need to begin to see more of that, and you are going to see us just go exponential in our successes.
Reverend Thompson, the security chief said to the president that their major challenges were the weather and logistics. They didn't, because of that,
you just
ask for an extension of the deadline, but they just put forward to him what their challenges are.
And if we go, can add what Captain Leyu said just now about, knowing the topography and everything and working towards people who could have such knowledge, maybe it can help.
Well, let us first start by saying it's extremely painful that we are losing lives and we continue to lose lives. To answer this and to try and put it in a, as simple as possible. In counterterrorism, you cannot fight from behind. You have to be ahead because of the nature of the problem. The challenge we have in Nigeria is that we have refused to totally comprehend that the solution to counterterrorism, the military portion, at maximum is 17%. 17%.
Oh.
I remember that when we started pointing out that we were going to have these problems, we started out publicly warning in 1999-2000. By 2003, when we mentioned that there would be suicide bombings in Nigeria, and the first constituency at that time that was affected first was the church. And then as we moved on in studies, we began to point out to people that this is not religious. It's deeper than religious. And we said there will be suicide bombings, and that the mosque too would come under pressure, that will start killing Muslims as well at a point in time. Successive governments were in denial. The truth is that it's painful that we keep losing lives because we refuse to sit down and concatenate and have a robust understanding. Now remember that the progress we have made in this regime is commendable because the military aspect we would have lost completely if we had continued with the old tactics. The coming of a professional soldier did help in the military aspect. However, the statement that counterterrorism will end by December could have been better advised. The truth is this, is that if you study the nature of this war, just go to the 9/11 report from the country that was least prepared, the official 9/11 report from America. They will tell you that they found out that you are dealing with a disciplined, ruthless, patient, capable of sustaining warfare for periods of times that are not in the lexicon of Western military. In fact, let me tell you the truth. Between 2000 and 2008-9, we attended meetings all over the world because the response to terrorism, the textbooks that are being used all over the world have just been written. And it's not as if there's any country that has any advantage over Nigeria. As a matter of fact, experts for a long time have been coming in here for some of the meetings we've had in different parts of the world. Myself representing Nigeria because we were the first constituency then. I can tell you, because they saw the makeup of Nigeria, they saw the balance, they had already been predicting that the solution to global terrorism will come from Nigeria, and they are right. It can be solved here if only we will expand our minds, think ahead, and give value to human life.
Okay. Reverend Thompson, you said that the military component to this struggle is only about 17%. So, where is the other 83%?
Well, some of it we will discuss in the open. Some of it will be very unwise.
Okay.
For us to.
Okay.
Let me give you, for instance.
Let us know the one that involves us.
Us, okay.
What can we do?
Okay.
And what percentage of this 83 is what we can do?
Okay. Now, for instance, when we foresaw that this was going to be a national problem, and we wrote letters to all the securities involved at that time, and we saw that there was no response. Working with the leadership of Pastor Ayo, Orisha Jaifo, we were able to work together to get a political hearing on Nigeria in the US Congress. And at that time was when we began to ask for the FTO label, for the Foreign Terrorist Organization label on Boko Haram. This was in 2012. When we returned from that trip in Washington, it was the most unpopular thing that the man had ever done in his life. He was castigated left, right, and center. But I remember telling him at that time that he should just wait. It's just a matter of time. Because immediately things escalated. Can you imagine if the FTO had not been globally designated as a foreign terrorist organization by the time the escalation came in Nigeria? It would have been terrible. Number two, one of the things that we have always said is this: it's a new type of war. Go for an official declaration of war and the latitude that it will give to governance to deal with this issue. If you don't go for it, you are wasting everybody's time. Again, one of the potents of this kind of war is that its modus operandi is such that it has a multi-headed approach. It has a head in areas you would not believe. Experts who study will tell you. So what we're dealing with here is the fact that if you look at the past regimes and the past dispensations, even as some of them were, eager to solve this problem, it is obvious that we had moles in the system. And the truth is that it's very difficult to win this kind of war when you have fifth columnists. And the objective of this war from the beginning, part of it is to infiltrate the services. So what you're going to discover is that if you were taking, I was following the war front then, listening to the boys, because we are pastors, we have to pray for them.